Hi, friends. So tonight is me making up for missing Wednesday because of the reasons I outlined in my poll. I had a bunch of classwork that I am now uh, doing better with. So this evening is going to be it's going to be on the question of technology, one of Martin Heidegger's better essays, in my opinion, and then based on time, I may do building dwelling thinking. So, and let me know in the comments that way, that way, or down there. If my music is too loud, I currently have the X Files original soundtrack going. It's very thematic. And I'm going to skip David Quell's introduction to the question concerning technology because he's not interesting. No offense, David Quell. So, excuse me. Martin Heidegger. I'm not dying, I promise. Martin Heidegger. The question concerning technology. In what follows, we shall be questioning concerning technology. Questioning builds a way. We would be advised, therefore, above all, to pay heed to the way, and not to fix our attention on isolated sentences and topics. The way is one of thinking. All, all ways of thinking more or less perceptibly lead through language in a manner that is extraordinary. We shall be questioning concerning technology, and in doing so, we should like to prepare a free relationship to it. The relationship will be free if it opens our human existence to the essence of technology. When we can respond to this essence, we shall be able to experience the technological within its own bounds. Technology is not equivalent to the essence of technology. When we are seeking the essence of tree, we have to become aware that what pervades every tree as tree is not itself a tree that can be encountered among all the other trees. Likewise, the essence of technology is by no means anything technological. Thus, we shall never experience our relationship to the essence of technology so long as we merely represent and pursue the technological, put up with it, or evade it. Everywhere we remain unfree and chained to technology, whether we passionately affirm or deny it. But we are delivered over to it in the worst possible way and when we regard it as something neutral. For this conception of it, to which today we particularly like to pay homage, makes us utterly blind to the essence of technology. According to ancient doctrine, the essence of a thing is considered to be what the thing is. We ask the question concerning technology when we ask what it is. Everyone knows of the two statements that answer our question. One says technology is a means to an end. I see what you did there, Heidegger. Ugh. The other says technology is a human activity. The two definitions of technology belong together. For to posit ends and procure and utilize the means to them is a human activity. The manufacture and utilization of equipment, tools, and machines, the manufactured and used things themselves, and the needs and ends that they serve all belong to what technology is. The whole complex of these contrivances is, in itself, technology. Technology itself is a contrivance, in Latin, an instrumentum. The current conception of technology, according to which it is a means and a human activity, can therefore be called the instrumental and anthropological definition of technology. Who would ever deny that it is correct? It is in obvious conformity with what we are envisioning when we talk about technology. The instrumental definition of technology is indeed so uncannily correct that it even holds for modern technology, of which in other respects we maintain with some justification that it is, in contrast to the older handicraft technology, something completely different and therefore new. Even the power plant with its turbines and generators is a man-made means to an end established by man. Even the jet aircraft and the high-frequency apparatus are means to ends. A radar station is of course less simple than a weather vane. To be sure, the construction of a high-frequency apparatus requires the interlocking of various processes of technical industrial production. And certainly a sawmill in a secluded valley of the Black Forest is a primitive means compared with a hydroelectric plant on the Rhine River. But this much remains correct. Modern technology, too, is a means to an end. This is why the instrumental conception of technology conditions every attempt to bring man into the right relation to technology. Everything depends on our manipulating technology in the proper manner as a means. We will, as we say, get technology intelligently in hand. We will master it. The will to mastery becomes all the more urgent the more technology threatens to slip from human control. But suppose now that technology were no mere means, how would it stand with the will to master it? Yet we said, did we not, that the instrumental definition of technology is correct? To be sure, the correct always fixes upon something pertinent in whatever is under consideration. However, in order to be correct, this fixing is by no means needs to uncover the thing in question in its essence. Only at the point where such an uncovering happens does the true appropriate. For that reason, the merely correct is not yet the true. Only the true brings us into the free relationship with that which concerns us from its essence. Accordingly, the correct instrumental definition of technology still does not show us technology's essence. In order that we may arrive at this, or at least come close to it, we must seek the true by way of the correct. We must ask, what is the instrumental itself? Within what do such things as means and end belong? A means is that whereby something is effected and thus attained. Whatever has an effect as its consequence is called a cause. The end that determines the kind of means to be used may also be considered a cause. Wherever ends are pursued and means are employed, wherever instrumentality reigns, there reigns causality. For centuries, philosophy has taught that there are four causes. One, the causa materialis, the material, the matter out of which, for example, a silver chalice is made. Two, the causa formalis, the form, the shape into which the material enters. Three, the causa finalis, the end, for example, the sacrificial rite in relation to which the required chalice is determined as its form and matter. And 4, the causa efficiens, which brings about the effect that is the finished, actual chalice, in this instance, the silversmith. What technology is, when represented as a means, discloses itself when we trace instrumentality back into fourfold causality. But suppose that causality, for its part, is veiled in darkness with respect to what it is. Certainly, for centuries we have acted as though the doctrine of the four causes has fallen from heaven as a truth as clear as daylight. But it might be that the time has come to ask, why are there only four causes? In relation to the aforementioned four, what does cause really mean? From whence does it come that the causal character of the four causes is so unifiedly determined that they belong together? So long as we do not allow ourselves to go into these questions, causality and with it instrumentality, and with this the accepted definition of technology, remain obscure and groundless. For a long time we have been accustomed to representing cause as that which brings something about. In this connection, to bring something about means to obtain results, effects. The causa efficiens, but one among the four causes, sets the standard for all causality. This goes so far that we no longer even count the causa finalis, delic finality, as causality. Causa, causis, belong to the verb caudere, to fall, and means that which brings it about that something turns out as a result in such and such a way. The doctrine of the four causes goes back to Aristotle. But everything that the later ages seek in Greek thought under the conception and rubric causality in the realm of Greek thought and for Greek thought per se has simply nothing at all to do with bringing about and effecting. What we call cause and the Romans call causa is called ation by the Greeks, that to which something else is indebted. The four causes are the ways, all belonging at once to each other, of being responsible for something else. An example can clarify this. Silver is that which out of the silver chalice is made. As this matter, it is co-responsible for this chalice. The chalice is indebted to, i.e., owes thanks to, the silver for that of which it consists. But the sacrificial vessel is indebted not only to the silver. As a chalice, that which is indebted to the silver appears in the aspect of a chalice, and not in that of a brooch or ring. Thus, the sacred vessel is at the same time indebted to the aspect eidos of chaliceness. Both the silver into which the aspect is admitted as chalice and the aspect in which the silver appears are in their respective ways co-responsible for the sacrificial vessel. But there remains yet a third something that is above all responsible for the sacrificial vessel. It is that which in advance confines the chalice within the realm of the consecration and bestowal. Through this the chalice is circumscribed as a sacrificial vessel. Circumscribing gives bounds to the thing. With the bounds the thing does not stop, rather from within them it begins to be what after production it will be. That which gives bounds, that which completes in this sense is called in Greek telos, which is all too often translated as aim and purpose and so misinterpreted. The telos is responsible for what as matter and what as aspect are together co-responsible for the sacrificial vessel. Finally, there is a fourth participant in the responsibility for the finished sacrificial vessels lying before us ready for use, i.e., the silversmith. But not at all because he, in working, brings about the finished sacrificial chalice as if it were the effect of a making. The silversmith is not a causa efficiens. The Aristotelian doctrine neither knows the cause that is named by this term nor uses a Greek word that would correspond to it. The silversmith considers carefully and gathers together the three aforementioned ways of being responsible and indebted. To consider carefully is in Greek leigen, logos. Leigen is rooted in epop. I'm not reading that. I'm sorry. No, I'm not reading that. To bring forward into appearance. The silversmith is co-responsible as that from which the sacred vessel's being is brought forth and substance take and retain their first departure. The three previously mentioned ways of being responsible owe thanks to the pondering of the silversmith for the that and the how of their coming into appearance and into play for the production of the sacrificial vessel. Thus, four ways of owing hold swaying the sacrificial vessel that lies ready before us. They differ from one another, yet they belong together. What unites them from the beginning? In what way does this playing in unison of the four ways of being responsible play? What is the source of the unity of the four causes? What, after all, does this owing and being responsible mean, thought as the Greeks thought it? Today we are too easily inclined either to understand being responsible and being indebted to moralistically as a lapse, or else to construe them in terms of affecting. In either case we bar from ourselves the way to the primal meaning of that which is later called causality. So long as this way is not opened up to us all, we shall also fail to see what instrumentality, which is based on causality, properly is. In order to guard against such misinterpretations of being responsible and being indebted, let us clarify the four ways of being responsible in terms of that for which they are responsible. According to our example, they are responsible for the silver chalices lying ready before us as a sacrificial vessel. Lying before and lying ready characterize the presencing of something that is present. The four ways of being responsible bring something into appearance. They let it come forth into presencing on listen. They set it free to that place and so start on its way, namely into its complete arrival. The principal characteristic of being responsible is this starting something on its way into arrival. It is in a sense of such as starting something on its way into arrival that being responsible is an occasioning or an inducing to go forward, veranlassen, in the translator's notes. On the basis of a look at what the Greeks experienced in being responsible in aeta, we now give this verb to occasion a more inclusive meaning, so that it is now the name for the essence of causality thought as the Greeks thought it. The common and narrower meaning of occasion, in contrast, is nothing more than a colliding and releasing. It means a kind of secondary cause within the whole of causality. But in what, then, does the playing in unison of the four ways of occasioning play? These let what is not yet present arrive into present thing. Accordingly, they are unifiedly governed by a bringing that brings what presences into appearance. Plato tells us that what this is bringing in is a sentence from the Symposium 250b. I'm not reading that in the Greek. Every occasion for whatever passes beyond the non-present and goes forward into present seeing is poiesis, bringing forth, in German hervorbringen. It is of utmost importance that we think bringing forth in its full scope and at the same time in the sense in which the Greeks thought it. Not only in handicraft manufacture, not only artistic and poetical bringing into appearance and concrete imagery, is a bringing forth poiesis. Physis, also the arising of something from out from itself, is a bringing forth poiesis. Physis is indeed poiesis in the highest sense. For what presences by means of physis has the eruption belonging to bringing forth, e.g., the bursting of a blossom into bloom in itself. In contrast, what is brought forth by the artisan or the artist, e.g., the silver chalice, has the eruption belonging to bringing forth not in itself but in another, in the craftsman or the artist. The modes of occasioning the four causes are at play then within bringing forth. Through bringing forth the growing things of nature as well as whatever is completed through the crafts and the arts come at any given time to their appearance. But how does bringing forth happen, be it in nature or in handicraft and art? What is the bringing forth in which the fourfold way of occasioning plays? Occasioning has to do with the presencing, on listen, of that which at any given time comes to appearance in bringing forth. Bringing forth brings out of concealment into unconcealment. Bringing forth procreates only insofar as something concealed comes into unconcealment. This coming rests and moves freely within what we call revealing, thus entbergen. The Greeks have the word of aletheia for revealing. The Romans translate this with veritas. We say truth and usually understand as the correctness of interpretation. But where have we strayed to? We are questioning concerning technology, and we have arrived now at aletheia, at revealing. What has the essence of technology do to revealing? The answer, everything. For every bringing forth is grounded in revealing. Bringing forth indeed gathers within itself the four modes of occasioning, causality, and rules them throughout. Within its domain belonging end and means as well as instrumentality. Instrumentality is considered to be the fundamental characteristic of technology. If we inquire step by step into what technology, represented as means, actually is, then we shall arrive at revealing. The possibility of all productive manufacturing lies in revealing. Technology is therefore no mere means. Technology is a way of revealing. If we give heed to this, then another whole realm for the essence of technology will open itself up to us. It is the realm of revealing, i.e., of truth. This prospect strikes us as strange. Indeed, it should do so as persistently as possible and with so much urgency that we will all finally take seriously the simple question of what the name technology means. The word stems from the Greek. Technikon means that which belongs to techne. We must observe two things with respect to the meaning of this word. One is that techne is the name not only for activities and skills of the craftsman, but also for the arts of the mind and the fine arts. Techne belongs to the bringing forth, the poesis. It is something poetic. Reminds me, I have one of my internship advisement professors. His doctoral and his entire thing is in the history of modern science, and we had a fantastic exchange last semester about Aristotelian informed humanist sciences in the scholastic tradition way back 1700s. Uh, Magic and alchemy being technologies in that sense because of the relationship between action and essence. But anyway, back to Heidegger. The other thing that we should observe with regard to techne is even more important. From earliest times until Plato, the word techne is linked with the word episteme. Both words are terms for knowing in the widest sense. They mean to be entirely at home in something, to understand and to be expert in it. Such knowing provides an opening up. An opening up, it an op- as an opening up, it is a revealing. Aristotle, in a discussion of special importance in the embarrassing moment, Nicomachean Ethics, correct me if I am wrong, only ever read that term, distinguishes between the episteme and techne, and indeed with respect to what and how they reveal. Techne is a mode of outweighing. It reveals whatever does not bring itself forth and yet does not lie here before us, whatever can look and turn out now one way or now another. Whoever builds a house or a ship or forges a sacrificial chalice reveals what is to be brought forth according to the terms of the four nodes of occasioning. This revealing gathers in advance the aspect and the matter of ship or house, with a view to the finished thing envisaged as completed, and from this gathering determines the matter of its construction. Thus what is decisive in techne does not at all lie in making and manipulating, nor in the using of means, but rather in the revealing mentioned before. It is as revealing, and not as manufacturing, that techne is a bringing forth. Thus the clue to what the word techne means and how the Greeks defined it leads us into the same context that opened itself to us when we pursued the question of what instrumentality as such in truth might be. Technology is a mode of revealing. Technology comes to the presence in the realm where the revealing and unconcealment take place, where aletheia, truth, happens. In opposition to this definition of the essential domain of technology, one can object that it indeed holds for Greek thought and that at best it might apply to the techniques of the handicraftsman, but that it simply does not fit modern machine power technologies. And it is precisely the latter, and it alone, that is the disturbing thing that moves us to ask the question concerning technology per se. It is said that modern technology is something incomparably different from all earlier technologies because it is based on modern physics as an exact science. Meanwhile, we have come to understand more clearly that the reverse holds true as well. Modern physics, as experimental, is dependent upon technical apparatus and upon progress in the building of an apparatus. The establishing of this mutual relationship between technology and physics is correct. It remains merely historiological establishing of facts and says nothing about that in which this mutual relationship is grounded. The decisive question still remains of what essence is modern technology that it thinks of putting exact science to use. What is modern technology? It is too a revealing. Only when we allow our attention to rest on this fundamental characteristic does that which is new in modern technology show itself to us. And yet the revealing that holds sway throughout modern technology does not unfold into a bringing forth in the sense of poesis. The revealing that rules in modern technology is a challenging, which puts to nature the unreasonable demand that it supply energy which can be extracted and stored as such. But does this not hold true for the old windmill as well? No. Its sails do indeed turn in the wind, they are left entirely to the wind's blowing, but the windmill does not unlock energy from the air currents in order to store it. In contrast, a tract of land is challenged in the hauling out of coal and ore. The earth now reveals itself as a coal mining district, the soil as a mineral deposit. The field that the peasant formerly cultivated and set in order appears differently than it did when to set in order to still meant to take care of and maintain. The work of the peasant does not challenge the soil of the field. In sowing grain, it places seed in the keeping of the forces of growth and watches over its increase. But meanwhile, even the cultivation of the field has come under the grip of another kind of setting in order, which sets upon nature. It sets upon it in the sense of challenging it. Agricultural is now the mechanized food industry. Air is now set upon to yield nitrogen, the earth to yield ore to yield uranium. For example, uranium is set upon to yield atomic energy, which can be unleashed either for destructive or for peaceful purposes. This setting upon that challenges the energies of nature is an expediting, and in two ways. It expedites in that it unlocks and exposes, yet that expediting is always itself directed from the beginning towards furthering something else, i.e., toward driving on to the maximum yield at the minimum expense. The coal that has been hauled out in some mining district has not been produced in order that it may simply be at hand somewhere or another. It is being stored, that is, on call, ready to deliver the sun's warmth that is stored in it. The sun's warmth is challenged forth for heat, which is in turn ordered to deliver steam, whose pressure turns the wheels that keep a factory running. The hydroelectric plant is set into the current of the Rhine. It sets the Rhine to supplying its hydraulic pressure, which then sets the turbines turning. This turning sets those machines in motion, whose thrust sets going the electric current through which the long distance power station and its network of cables are set up to dispatch electricity. In the context of the interlocking processes pertaining to the orderly disposition of electrical energy, even the Rhine itself appears to be something at our command. The hydroelectric plant is not built into the Rhine River, as was the old wooden bridge that joined bank with bank for hundreds of years. Rather, the river is dammed up into the power plant. What the river is now, namely, is a water power supplier derived from the essence of the power station. In order that we may even remotely consider the monstrousness that reigns here, let us ponder for a moment the contrast that is spoken by the two titles. The Rhine is dammed up in the power works, and the Rhine is uttered by the art work, and the Holderlin's hymn by that name. But it will be replied, the Rhine is still a river in the landscape, is it not? Perhaps. But how? In no other way than as an object on call for inspection by a tour group ordered there by the vacation industry. And thank you for those who are staying with me because I know this essay is actually pretty dry. I like it. The revealing that rules throughout modern technology has the character of a setting upon, in the sense of a challenge setting forth. Such challenging happens in that the energy concealed in nature is unlocked, what is unlocked is transformed, what is transformed is stored up, what is stored up is in turn distributed, what is distributed is switched out or moved anew. Unlocking, transforming, storing, distributing, and switching about are ways of revealing. But the revealing never simply comes to an end. Neither does it run off into the indeterminate. The revealing reveals to itself its own manifoldly interlocking paths through regulating their course. This regulating itself is, for its part, everywhere secured. Regulating and securing even become the chief characteristics of the revealing that challenges. What kind of concealment is it, then, that is particular to that which results from the setting upon that challenges? Everywhere everything is ordered to stand by, to immediately be on hand, indeed to stand there just so that it may be on call for further ordering. Whatever is ordered about in this way has its own standing. Ow. Ah! Sorry. We call it the standing reserve, bestand. The word expresses here something more, and something more essential than mere stock. The word standing reserve assumes the rank of an inclusive rubric. It designates nothing less than the way in which everything presence is that is wrought upon by the revealing that challenges. Whatever stands by in the sense of standing reserve no longer stands over us, against us as a subject, as object. Yet an airliner that stands on the runway is surely an object. Certainly, we can represent the machine so, but then it conceals itself as to what and how it is. Revealed, it stands on the taxi strip only as standing reserve, inasmuch as it is ordered to ensure the possibility of transportation. For this it must be in its whole structure and in every one of its constituent parts, itself on call for duty, i.e., ready for takeoff. Here it will be appropriate to discuss Hegel's definition of the machine as an autonomous tool. When applied to the tools of the craftsman, his characterization is correct. Characterized in this way, however, the machine is not thought at all from the essence of technology within it which belongs. Yes, to this attack of the allergens. I'm wondering, it literally just occurred to me because this only ever happens in my apartment if it's my jungle. I think I'm like very slowly poisoning myself. That's what I do for love. Seen in terms of the standing reserve, the machine is completely non-autonomous, for it has its standing only on the basis of the ordering of the orderable. Oh my gosh, this is dry even for me right now. The fact that now, whichever we try to point to the modern technology is the revealing that challenges, the words setting upon, ordering, standing reserve. And side note for anyone who's watching this who is not familiar at all with Heidegger, when he refers to the word setting upon, standing reserve, so on and so forth, these are approximate translations of the original German compound words that I am not going to attempt to pronounce in the original German, but that's what's going on there. Like these are referring to solidly phrasal concepts that the translator, like myself, is not going to ask himself with putting into English outside of clumpy terms, because this is what that means. Obtrude and obtrude and accumulate in a dry, monotonous, and therefore oppressive way. Kind of like how this essay feels right now. This fact that has its basis in what is now coming to utterance. Who accomplishes the challenging setting upon through which what we call the actual is revealed as standing reserve? Obviously, man. Crazy. To what extent is man capable of such a revealing? Man can indeed conceive, fashion, and carry through this or that, in what way? In what way or another? Oh no. But man does not have control over unconcealment itself, in which at any given time the actual shows itself or withdraws. The fact that it has been showing itself in the light of ideas ever capital I ideas because German ideas ever since the time of Plato did not bring about. The thinker only responded to what addressed itself to him. Only to the extent that man, for his part, is already challenged to exploit the energies of nature can this revealing that orders happen. If man is challenged, ordered to do this, then man does not himself belong to the more originally than nature within the standing reserve. Jesus. You know, I love reading this type of thing on my own, but I feel that for a stream, this is probably incredibly boring. Let me peek ahead. Because I turned in here, I'm 35 minutes in. Give me one moment. I'm gonna go try to find something a bit more that's short. Oh, fudge. Oh. Mm, 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 mm. I'm wondering if I should read Marx, but that would probably, I'm not drunk enough for that. Ooh. Oh, this is going to be a total treat for you guys who are actually still watching. So this is not philosophy. This is this is called Bomb the Suburbs. Um, oh, for phenomenology, we are. I'm starting with introduction next session, either this coming Wednesday or Saturday. I'm still trying to decide how I'm doing the schedule. No, this coming Wednesday. Yeah, this coming Wednesday, I'll be heading back into the intro of Heidegger. Um, so I'm going to read uh, uh, an essay from Bomb the Suburbs, which is radical hip hop anthology, um, and it begins on the back with why you should read this long ass shit. Through stories, cartoons, interviews, disses, parodies, and original research, Bomb the Suburbs challenges the suburban mindset wherever it is found, in suburbs and corporate headquarters, but also in cities, housing projects, and hip hop itself. Debating key questions. Should white kids move to the ghetto? Should black kids kick their asses when they get there? Is gangster rap, hip hop, or Hollywood clown music? Or rap journalists, super groupies, or pimps with pens? They're both. Let's be real. This is a leftover from my DJ days. I actually used to be a member of the Zulu Nation, fun fact. Um, what would a hip hop based political movement look like? It's happening. Um, would it be a good idea even if it were possible? African Bambaataa has proven no, for the most part. Um, mm, mm, mm. Are freight trains exporting graffiti to Middle America? Hell yes, they are. Okay, so again, for anyone still watching, I'm going to pick a selection from Bomb the Suburbs. And if you just give me a minute, I'm going to pull something up really quickly. Mm-mm-mm. Maybe I should do the one on Wickers. Mm, I'm debating either reading Hadn't I Just Been a Special White Boy because of the irony, because I feel like it's probably too performative, or let's see. It's hitchhiking. It's hitchhiking. I'm gonna read the one on Mr. Farrakhan. Um. mm, 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 mm. So, yes. Minister Farrakhan, Meet the Beastie Boys. And for anyone just checking in, I am reading a selection from Bomb the Suburbs by William Upsky Wimstadt. It is a hip hop anthology criticism collection, left over from my DJ days. Again, I used to be a member of Zulu Nation. This was very close to my heart because Heidegger was getting really boring, and I just wasn't feeling it. I don't think anyone was really feeling it. Minister Farrakhan, meet the Beastie Boys. Okay, both of you can go now. A lot of people take one look at the lifestyle of someone like me, the dropping out of college, hitchhiking, graffiti writing, and suddenly it clicks for all of them. He's a modern day beatnik, easy rider, Huckleberry Knuckleberry Finn, and a rebel in search of freedom from the restrictiveness and hypocrisy of society. The beatniks and their modern day corporate counterparts, the Beastie Boys, ran away from society by getting into chemicals and the thrill of the moment. Easy Rider ran away on a motorcycle. I do that every day. Huck Finn, well, he just ran away. I am not running away. I'm only running around. My adventure is to be more, not less, involved in society. I left college to become more, not less, educated. I do graffiti to communicate with people, not push them away. Chemicals hold no interest for me. I'm scared of motorcycles. Most of the time, I'm too caught up in the big picture to lose myself in the moment. As for the whole anarchist fuck society routine, I don't find it impressive. It's usually either an insincere pose or a naive cop out. Oops, called out right now. Sometimes it is very sick eccentricity. Most of the time, it is people who sit around, smoke bud, complain, and build thin fantasies for themselves around books like this one, or songs or raps written by defiantly half baked juveniles with egos the size of America. And this is one of his early pieces. Opposite the crazed individualistic Beastie Boys, the nation man, the member of a group, the self-sacrificer, the 5%er, the gang member, the revolutionary, the follower of Farrakhan, the socialist, the subculturalist, the Afrocentrist, the activist. Both the Beastie Boy and nation man dislike ordinary society and feel themselves separated from ordinary people. The ignorant masses in their minds who need to only wake up and see the light. But where the beatnik escapes into art, sex, chemicals, and the open road, the nation man escapes into the group with a larger than life mission. There is a fundamental difference between the appeal of a mass movement and the appeal of a practical organization, writes Eric Hoffer in his classic book, The True Believer. The practical organization offers opportunities for self-advancement. Daniel. I'm actually I drink, but I don't do anything like that. I'm quite straight and narrow. Just saying. Just saying. The practical organization offers opportunities for self-advancement and its appeal is mainly to self-interest. The mass movement attracts and holds a following not because it can satisfy the desire for self-advancement, but because it can satisfy the passion for self-renunciation. The innermost craving is for a new life, a rebirth, faith in a holy cause is considerable extent a substitute for the lost faith in ourselves. While joining a nation or a cause is for many people an enlightening first step into the world of self-discipline, confidence, and powerful ideas, it should only be the first step. Thinking too much as a member of any group or movement tends to make you narrow, two-dimensional, dull, and prejudiced. What I find attractive is neither that the cowboy individualism of the Beastie Boys nor the organizational unity of the Nation of Islam. It is a synthesis of both. Suppose that we could weave together the personal freedom of the Beastie Boys with the personal discipline of the Nation of Islam. The creativity and fun of the Beastie Boys, the character and commitment of the Nation of Islam. The capitalism of the Beastie Boys, the collectiveness of the NOI. The iconoclasm of the Beastie Boys with the reverence of the NOI. And suppose we could leave out the Beastie Boys' responsibility in the Nation of Islam's self-righteousness. I think that there are a lot of people who would be down for a movement based around the meeting of those extremes. People who could swing with either side if they wanted to, but are looking for something a bit more sensible, a little more universal, a little more practical and down to earth. Here. Ooh. This is and I'll do another one. Dear Stephen, hip hop is not a way of life. We were all hanging out on one last day last fall, driving around these abandoned buildings to look at some walls. The kid sitting next to me, Stephen, was just getting into hip hop and he loved it with the eagerness of a 12-year-old, although he was 18. He said a couple of bright things that day, so I took down his address, and the next week I mailed out the manuscript for comments. I addressed a copy to Stephen. A lot of my best friends didn't write me back, but Stephen wrote me back the same day, 5 pages of scribble scrabble, not especially well crafted, but he was eager to learn. We began going to hip hop meetings together, practicing breakdance, and to the library. Oh, most punk rock thing of all. Over the last month, while on probation for graffiti, he's been teaching himself how to beatbox, draw characters, and write. So far, he has written a few stories which have been published in a few small hip hop magazines. Here is one of my favorites. This is a warning. It should be noted. Stephen is a super middle class white boy. Um, 93 is over and it's time to let shit hit the fan. You city jerks, I mean workers, and Grand Wizard Daily, this is a warning. You have 1 month to clear out of your stupid, senseless anti-graffiti programs, rent-a-cops, that graft squad, and K9 who stand in the middle of aisles like big-ass overseers thinking they can't get their ass kicked. Your mutt tries to get near me while I'm painting Fidos on the tracks. In October, you iced our wall of fame, and now you have to pay the price. You gumps have taken this power thing too far. And now it's time to show you who really has the damn power in this city. With a flash of Krylon emergency symbol, oh, this is making me so nostalgic. Riders from Philly, New York, Atlanta, and Cali will be here in minutes through the secret subway where trains never get buffed and city jerks get hung from abandoned trains with fat laces, where graffiti squad cops get treated like a pig, pumped full of chemicals and fried like bacon at the truck stop. We do want to thank you, money swindling devils, for two things. The electricity that comes through the connecting wires from most of your homes, and the paint we reconfiscated from 39th and Michigan. We simply let one of our stoolies in your human resources department take a 14% deduction from your paycheck. You thought you were getting a pay cut from taking the day off to play booty with yourselves, perverts. Sit on your ass, don't do shit, and we'll be running the city like the rats and the roaches. Think about it next time you open up a new line. Every night, me and my crew can go out and wreck 9 to 5 yards, Howard yards, Wilson yards, and not even have to worry about you sneaking up on us. If you try something stupid, we'll assign all of our city workers, guardian angels, GA, aka Graffiti Alliance, and clumsy broken down graffiti blasters, retired salt trucks with a big douche bottle on top, to paint and bomb up the whole city. Graffiti Alliance is responsible for graffiti on the north and south side lines. You didn't think about patting them down and checking them for gear, did you? Bumblefucks. Bumblefuck, Steven. You didn't even bother checking the buttons on their hats, which turned out to be a gold spray paint can. Why do you think they have a picture of the train line on their "Join Us and Be a Hero Like Me" advertisement plugger? We got them on our side, and be damned Skippy will use them. It's up to you city administrating fools. 1 month left to get your shit together and scrape off the wall of fame or feel the wrath of hip hop, you suckers. Dear Stephen, I found an old phone book the other day from 1988. It wasn't even old. In it, I counted 127 names of MCs, B-boys, DJs, and writers whose phone numbers I had at the time. And these were only the ones with phones. These were the hip-hoppers that time forgot. Former MC giants on the chicken bone circuit, kings of the line, masters of linoleum. Okay, there were a few suckers in there too, but of those 127 people, only 23 remain active in hip hop today, less than 1 in 5. If I go back a little farther to 1984 to 85, the demographics get even bleaker. That was when I first started out in the neighborhood before I went all city. I probably knew 40 or 50 other kids who were into hip hop. These were my mentors, my partners, the ones who swore they'd be hip hop forever. One of them is left. That's Deep UFG at THC. I'm never telling you guys my old DJ name. That's buried secret. If old schoolers, middle schoolers in my case, know anything, we know what it's like to be abandoned, to think hip hop is dying, and to keep doing it anyway. That's why we don't take new schoolers seriously. We've seen too many of you fall off. Like, as my old friend Kay Light said, sometimes I look at myself in the mirror and I feel like I'm a unicorn. I feel like I'm doing this all alone. It was 1989 when Kay Light said this to me, the height of Chicago's hip hop drought, and I vowed to myself I would stay in it forever. The next year, K-Light recorded a song with a rock group Ministry where he shouts things like, "You sucker, wake up and don't you stop, word." After that, I saw him maybe once. So long, forgevity. When I look at the crew I used to run in 7th and 8th grade, it's terrible what has happened to us. The white boys in the crew mostly went off to college. Benj went to Stanford. Prashant, the Indian kid, went to Cornell. Alan, Seth, and Enemy slipped into drugs, and now they're cleaning up and going off to college too. The black and Puerto Rican boys in the crew did not go to college. Last I heard, Joe Iglesias is in jail for shooting gangbangers and running a crack house. Michael de Monster for stealing a car. Saladin fell off the fire escape. Fest was charged with shooting the roadman of Boys to Men, but he was cleared. Hip hop, it turned out, was only a temporary bridge between us. When hip hop wasn't there anymore, we returned to our respective sides of the bridge. I look back on the crazy times we had together and it all seems like a lie. You are from the other side of the bridge, Stephen. I don't want my friendship with you to be a lie. You've been into hip hop for a year now and you are expecting a baby in the fall. If you want to stay into hip hop and lead a happy, productive life, you have a very hard battle ahead of you, especially with how old you are. Most people quit hip hop by the time they're at your age. It usually goes in about 3 or 4 year cycles. You get into it when you're about 14. By the time you're 18, you either have to make a career out of it, kick it down to the level of hobby, or quit. That may sound like selling out to you, but which is worse, selling out to hip hop or selling out your life to basic training in Burger King? You can tell a lot looking at the old schoolers who've managed to stay in hip hop. Trickster customizes cars, Jesse and Slang have stores, Defsky makes films, Cassius D teaches, Crunch does community organizing, P. Lee works for Oprah, him and Stain make records, Reg Knock makes Sprite commercials, DZ sells canvases, Fest, Spike, Crack, Crush, Artistic Riot, Warp, and Rafa all airbrush. Kingdom manages, B-Boy B does animation, Zora got grants, and Raven gets A's at DePaul. Almost all of them make careers around the talents they learned in hip hop. You will hear people say that hip hop is a culture, a way of life. Don't listen to those people. They are usually the first ones who have to quit. Hip hop is only a way of life when you're in high school, then you have to make a living. Hip hop isn't going to pay your rent. Hip hop isn't going to pay your grocery bill, your electric bill. Hip hop doesn't stop bullets. Hip hop doesn't put a marriage back together or regulate a corporation or change a government policy. It doesn't do most of the things we need a culture or a way of life to do for us. That's why I wasn't surprised to hear that my old buddy Secret flipped from being a graffiti writer to a drug dealer to a canine security guard assigned to catch graffiti writers. We can tell them fuck you, but we can't give them a real alternative. Hip hop is only an art. It's only a group of friends. It's only a hobby. Hip hop does deserve credit for one thing in your life, Stephen, getting you out into the world of people with promising futures. The hip hop itself is only a bridge into that world. Your challenge is not so much to climb to the top of your bridge. Your punk ass already got me faded and breaking. Your challenge is to cross to the other side. Stephen called me yesterday. I think Chicago hip hop is getting ready for another drought, he said. When? Now? Yeah, things are slowing down. It's been 4 years. The first cycle was 1984 to 87, right? This is 1991 to 1994. That's 4 years. Yeah. Oh. Well, that was a couple brief essays by William Upsky Wimstott from Bomb the Suburbs. I hope that kind of compensated for the extremely dry and almost oppressive earlier essay from Heidegger I did. So this Wednesday, I'll be doing another 10 to 15-ish pages from Phenomenology of Spirit. And then at that point onward, I think I'm going to be switching entirely to Saturday evenings. Um, Again, thank you for tuning in. I'm about to go have some French toast because I'm really hungry. And I'm it's a good night. I spent so much of today just sewing, and I really missed that. And I'm glad to cap this off with this piece of my past. Good evening from your Philbook Doomer GF, and take care. And ending for real now.